that's really great. But yeah, I mean, the thing about Sonic games is, and the thing interesting is that they're all tonally complex. But when you play Sonic in the Olympics, it's just all that's just erased, and you just have these like weirdly like creepy smiling, like you see like Blaze and she's like smiling while she plays tennis. Like that's super weird. You know that doesn't match what Sonic just tends to be. It just feels so out of place. Sonic always like Sonic characters always felt out of place.
Sonic is all about
Sonic
teenage angst.
Well, it isn't.
Not playing
Sometimes,
polo.
like, in this game is teenage angst. That's why it's so bad.
Yeah.
But I feel like the teenage angst thing is mostly just because there's a lot of weird confusion between what Sonic the marketing character is and what Sonic actually is. And
That's
I
a
don't think people seem
really
to.
that's a really interesting point too.
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty prevalent. I don't think it's something that's a problem with Sonic fans or just even just.
Yeah,
the
Sonic
company
fans
general,
have
but
to
also-
suffer because of that polarizing
also-
distinction.
But also just people who make Sonic games. I feel like people who make Sonic games don't seem to understand that.
I know!
Wow.
The statue landed on me and flipped my hovercraft. Oh no. I'm gonna go into this next level, the next part of the level with 3 lives. I'm sorry, that's so lame.
That's okay.
Not cool. That was kind of funny though. We were talking about Sonic fans getting kind of ripped apart by marketing of Sonic games.
Well,
They're put in a tough position.
It's mostly that there's a split. I just think it's the people who make Sonic games in general. They don't seem to really understand the difference between what Sonic like is marketed as and what Sonic actually is and what makes Sonic games actually really strong.
Yeah.
Because so in Sonic 06 is actually a good example. Shadow is like the weird teenage angsty thing, which is a marketing push, right? But at the same time, they try to incorporate it into the game itself, and it doesn't work, obviously, because it's a terrible characterization.
To
So
most
you
of the
can-
extent, except that angst part where he was created to be the like ultimate life form, and then he realized he's actually like not at all.
even that's kind of ridiculous. Like, look at Shadow. Like,
Yeah,
like,
he's got good reason to be angsty.
Does he? Like he's like a soft furry like hedgehog thing with like gloves. You know what I mean?
He had one job.
And even in Sonic Adventure 2, that whole like ultimate life force thing is just totally played out. By like at least like by the half of the game, it's over. And even had the game, Shadow just seems like a really just whiny and obnoxious and totally unbearable.
Yep.
Even in the first game he's in, so that narrative never works. It never comes to full play in a way that
It doesn't work, but
way.
we still have to. We're
exactly,
still like
everybody's
left
still
with
doing it,
this
but-
plot
but-
that's like, oh, he is actually fighting with the failure of not actually being the ultimate life form.
Yeah, it doesn't really work. But I mean,
It's kind of funny.
As a marketing construct, the idea of Lake Shadow is that
He's
thing,
dark and angsty, and
it's slightly appealing because
he's
with
the last of
marketing-
his species.
Yeah. I mean, you only need to be appealing enough to buy a product or something. But at the same time, when it comes to the game itself, it just ruins it. So it's like it's weird. Sonic 06 is like they're trying to like insert marketing constructs into the game itself, instead of having those things separate. So it just ends up feeling really awkward.
There is a huge point where you could easily separate these and have much more clear understanding and not have to take these huge swings that
I mean,
don't
when
make
they are,
sense.
when they are separated, it works, right? I mean, in
Yep.
the Sonic Genesis games, they're separated, right? Sonic, like the cool '90s Mario thing, is not in the game at all. That whole understanding of Sonic is not apparent in the Sonic Genesis games because he doesn't talk. He doesn't say things. So sometimes he flips his finger or whatever, but he doesn't actually, portray that in any way.
Gives you them finger
it's-
guns.
You just never see that. So there's a separation between those things. But then they try to merge together, and it's really weird. And that's also shown too in the sense that, in Sonic Adventure 2, that's really when they try to push like a story, like a plot line into Sonic games and like voice acting and like.
Yeah, they do it big.
character arcs. Yeah, they try to go big, but it just falls. Like that's a lot of what fail. I feel like a lot of the failure Sonic games isn't just the fact that they're janky, even though they are kind of janky, but also just they try to make weird stories. They try to put drama into it, which is super awkward because all the characters are terribly written and terribly voiced. Which is why I'm pretty excited that there will be a Western team working on it because maybe that'll help a bit. I mean, I watched. I mean, there isn't a lot of voice acting in the trailer for Sonic Boom, but there's a little bit of it, and and they don't sound horrible.
And there's a
They-
co-op.
they
Yeah,
don't-
it's a
they don't-
co-op
they-
developed team. Yeah.
Like it doesn't make me want to just like shit myself out to see and just never see the world again. It's just like it's so.
I'm
but,
sorry, world, but Sonic
I-
voice acting has made me depart from you.
I know that sounds slightly excessive, but like it's unbearable. Like if you played like Sonic and the Secret Rings on the Wii, like that.
We've talked about that.
Yeah, we did, and the acting in the game is just it's not tolerable. You have to skip those cutscenes. I don't know who can't. I don't know who could actually watch those things full through.
Oh, God,
if you play Sonic and the Secret Rings, like it's
You're
so,
a trooper.
Oh no, I skip them all the time. I skip most Sonic cutscenes. Even Sonic Heroes is also terrible. It's just so bad. It's just like I don't understand. Sometimes it's just like I feel like there are so many Sonic games where like if no one spoke, it would just increase a lot of the quality of those games. Because Sonic games usually tend to be very strong and
And that's part of their big swing.
Yeah,
and it's completely different from Mario.
It's the settings. Yeah, I mean Sonic is very different from Mario. They're not the same thing at all. And there's not much to compare them to anymore. There was at a time, but even then, it was a sort of soft comparison, and it was a marketing comparison too, right? So,
Yes.
so Sonic was supposed to be a marketing construct to sort of challenge the kind of gain that Nintendo's getting in the market. But when it comes to the games themselves, they're just not similar at all.
No, why does it... So for some reason it doesn't let you glide after you hit a bumper, and I need to learn this.
Really?
Yep, or else I will continue dying.
Sonic Assist is a really sad game, isn't it? It's very sad.
It's a very sad game.
It's just it's not at all.
So I gotta pull back on the control stick and do like a little wimpy pull over to the to whatever platform is around. Oh, also I have to kill everyone in this room before I can move on.
Sonic 06 doesn't look too bad, actually.
No, it doesn't.
yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
PS3.
Yeah, but it's the PS3, so it looks okay, I wish I was put to good use too, because that would have been kind of cool to, do Sonic stuff in HD. Would have been kind of neat, but of course it never really goes anywhere. I
Nope.
don't know. I
It
feel
looks
like
good when the graphics show up too.
Yeah, I mean, all Sonic games are flawed. In a way that's
In
that's
huge,
meant-
scathing ways.
You
But in their
usually
own
use
ways.
But it's always varies between them, right?
Yep.
Like it's always sort of varying failures, and Sonic 06 is kind of the low point.
The
it's kind of-
episodic Sonics that have been coming out lately, those have their own.
So Sonic 4 episode something. I didn't
Yep.
play those. Those looked really weird and
Oh, that thing's not
sterile
done.
and just kind
Yes.
of
Yep.
sort of plastic. I don't know. I didn't really want to bother with those, but
There's not a lot to them.
okay. Are they okay?
You're not going to get any of the kind of like ecological stuff that we were talking about earlier. That was like those original Sonic games.
It's just it just feels like the people who make Sonic and the people who and the sort of like I guess the stuff around its production, which does include the sort of corporate institutions that keep Sonic afloat, don't
Yep.
really understand Sonic at all. That sounds weird. That sounds like a weird fan thing to say. You don't understand Sonic, but like there are strengths to these games that aren't admittedly
Ooh, wow.
are kind of hard to find. But they're there, and they can be used to make something that's really, really substantial. But no one seems to understand it, and no one does it. But Sonic games are interesting though, because they always try these really interesting things. They always seem to get close. They get really, really close to making something that is a really sort of resonant package. But there's something about them that always seems to sort of fall off, which is why Sonic games are kind of tragic.
Yes.
In a certain way.
They're
kind of
very tragic in their design sense, basically.
they're kind of sad.
'Cause they're not
like-
trying to necessarily design something as a game as much as they have like so many different pressures coming from so many different angles. And at the end of the day, you get, well, at least it has nice music.
Yeah, or at
And
least
you
like
could
the
say that
levels-
about...
at least the levels look kind of nice, and such like that.
Yep.
So I mean, but I feel like that's sort of that's why I kind of like Sonic though, because they always seem to make these huge jumps. They never seem to really sort of make any. They never get it.
And they never play it safe.
Yeah, but they always go around, and I feel like sometimes.
What is that guy doing on this?
God.
There, do you see that guy up there?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
awesome.
he's scratching
He's
to get out.
falling. He's trying to get out of this game. Please put me in a new game. I'll do anything. Unlike some plumbers who always play it safe no matter what, constantly.
Yet it's good, quote unquote, right?
It's good because it
Quote
meets all of
unquote.
my expectations.
Yeah, it certainly does. It's pretty standard, which is sort of indicative of Nintendo in general, which is also very conservative. It's a very conservative company, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't really know how to sort of expand. They have like sort of they only really know how to do one thing.
I mean, even
Just
the
kinda
other
do
big
it.
players that are out there have certain arms that do ridiculously risky stuff. Nintendo, though, playing it safe.
Yeah, they always play safe. So I don't know. I just kind of lost interest. But you know who knows. But I guess that's why I always thought Sonic kind of neat. You know, that's always what sort of kind of attracted me to it. Like I feel like Sonic Riders would it always feel so kind of was so kind of representative of what Sonic usually is. Like it's a game that feels like it could have been something so much more, but it just couldn't do it for some reason. For some reason or other, you know, and like it's really disappointing. But even in itself, Sonic Riders is just a really interesting play. Yeah, it does. It's a hoverboard game where you race with hoverboards and you have to fill it with this thing called air, and you do and you it's like F-Zero. It's sort of like F-Zero resource style management, which is like an interesting thing. And some of those levels too are really good. It has a great soundtrack. It has a great like sort of techno soundtrack on it. Like there are little things in there, little jewels. That are in some of those games that you can find. You know, they're there and they're kind of cool. But I mean, when I look at Sonic Boom, with the trailer, like it looked really cool. I was actually into it. Not only was I into Sonic Boom, I was into those designs, those new character designs, which I thought was kind
New
of
character designs. Ah,
I thought they
yeah.
looked kind of cool. I thought they looked neat. I don't think it was a huge problem. Everyone seems to hate
Tall
them.
Sonic. Everyone has an opinion on Tall Sonic.
Yeah, everyone hates the new designs. People
It's
despise
awesome.
it. I have no idea why. I think it look okay. I don't think there's a huge problem with it.
I think, but there's also a nice thing about it where it's like everyone loves Sonic and they
Well,
feel like they have some kind of say in.
I don't know if they love Sonic as much as they have a certain kind of investment to Sonic.
They have some kind of
Attachment- they have
emotional
an-
investment,
they have
yeah.
they have an attachment to Sonic, which doesn't always equal to love, as we see.
Yeah.
It's sometimes equal to hatred and disdain.
Well, they hate fake Sonic. They want their real Sonic.
Who is their real Sonic? Everyone has a different
I
real
mean-
Sonic, and they all want it to be their Sonic.
Yeah.
It's like they're groupies and they're pulling.
And different Sonic, whatever. And this is now the different Sonic. Nobody has love for different Sonic, who's, what, 2 inches taller?
Yeah,
Again?
yeah, so he's a little taller, and Knuckles is tall. Which kind of, to be honest, kind of makes sense given the kind of stuff Knuckles tends to do. Kind of makes sense if he's a little bigger. I don't like that's just like that's the thing. Like this weird obsession, this weird sort of fixation towards like these small, like minute and ultimately arbitrary, different kinds of sort of character changes. But all it just shows is how weirdly invested people who normally don't really give a shit about Sonic suddenly are just freaking out about it. You know.
And I mean, we
too.
don't necessarily. Even I don't care how tall Sonic is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, now that it's put out to me, I kind of do. I've got an opinion about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I mean, there's something to say about it, of course. You know, it's a thing. It exists, right? Sonic is taller, so that's kind of it. It's just
The funny thing is, though, that the only interview that I've seen about Sonic 06, the lead designer talks about Sonic's height, and this is now 8 years ago,
yeah, okay.
and it's
Wow.
still a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's a big deal not only to the fans, but even to the designers. And at the very least, there was, you know just from that interview that there was legitimate thought put into how tall do we want to make Sonic? Or how do we want this new Sonic that we're going to reimagine to look?
I mean,
And they decided to reimagine him by making him sleeker, by being taller, in a way that's more humanoid.
I mean, all that tells me is what I already knew, which is that Sonic is mostly and was mostly built as an image and as a marketing contract, particularly.
Bingo.
Which sometimes tend to get inserted into the game, which tends to sort of break down the game and creating something that's very janky and awkward and very sort of disjointed. It's like.
Maybe that's what we're identifying with, is that because this is obviously a marketing strategy, and
but
it comes off as fake.
yeah, it comes off as fake, and this idea that Sonic would it's this idea that Sonic is a brand, and as a brand,
And so everyone else has seen that too,
yeah,
though, too.
yeah,
Not just us, but
yeah. So and as what
no,
did you do? Where did it go? Why did you?
it just let go.
You did it at the wrong time. That's
Oh.
why.
I think I did do it at the wrong time.
It's also in Sonic Adventure 2, by the way. The little thing where you're on the pole and you
Yep.
sort of flip around. Yeah, it's in there too.
Sir, excuse me, I need to vault off of you.
But yeah, I mean, Sonic is mostly. I mean, Sonic has mostly been built as a brand, and everyone has an attachment to that brand because it suggests something. And whenever it sort of deviates from it, then everyone gets really pissed off. Right? Sonic's supposed to look like this. He's supposed to suggest this. When Sonic actually suggests a lot of things. Sonic is just different almost every time. So.
But it is always because it's a marketing thing, and that is so frustrating.
It feels more. It feels a little stronger with Sonic. Like I feel like if someone.
Oh my God! Here's the end.
Oh, nice.
It hurts. It hurts so bad.
That's good.
It's a good burn.
Oh, it's terrible. It's so disappointing too because the tempo level in Sonic Adventure 2 is great. That's a great level in Sonic Adventure 2, but here it's just awful.
Now I'm remembering the Sonic bits, and
yeah, it was really good. I mean,
cool
you know
stuff.
what? That game in general, in terms of the Sonic Shadow levels, has great pacing. It has great pacing. It has an awesome sense of speed and momentum in that game.
Huge spaces that they're throwing you through.
Yeah. So it's a strong game. Sonic Adventure 2 is probably my favorite Sonic game.